Hello, I'm Jacqueline, your professional matchmaker and facilitator for Discover Love Academy. I am excited because we keep bringing together quarter after quarter amazing presenters, experts, coaches that have a different way of looking at things. And when it comes to finding love, you need to shift your perspective. You need to learn from the experts, listen to the ones that resonate with you, and open to the possibilities. So I'm especially excited to have this opportunity for you to listen and learn and open yourself up for our third quarter summit and hear what Linda has to share. It is not like anything you ever hear anywhere else. So I'm going to have Linda introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do before we dive into all the amazing topics you want to cover in this conversation, because this is what you guys got to listen and learn. You will not hear this anywhere else. So get ready to take your notes. All right, Darlene, tell us a little bit about you and why you're part of Discover Love Academy.
Well, thank you, Jacqueline. Well, part of the reason I'm a part of this is because we're friends and we resonate a lot around how we attract love to ourselves, how we trust ourselves. And so from that standpoint, it's a really good fit. From what I do, I have been self-employed for almost 30 years. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I have a couple of different businesses, but this particular business that I work with primarily women, but I do have men clients, helping them really understand about who they are at their core, what they're here to be doing, what did they chose to work on in this lifetime, to understand, to bring forward, and to be, the best that they can be. And my tagline is, I help you to see you so you can be you without apology. And
love that.
Thank you. And so it's really about, we know all this stuff when we come into this incarnation, this planetary, experience. And it's what I call Earth School, right? So at Earth School, we are taking a curriculum of sorts, and the information that is in your hands helps you to identify and understand, okay, what's my major? What am I, supposed to be studying here? Where are my challenges? And so the information in your hand, whether it be the lines, the shape, or today we'll be talking about the fingerprints on your hands. And in the past, we've talked about heart line because that's about your emotional style. But with the fingerprints, they are energetic maps of your soul's radical agreement of what you came here to be and what you came here to understand more about. So we call it, sort of your karmic lesson, but it's not karma that you work off per se. It's really, I choose to learn more about powerlessness in this lifetime. I choose to learn more about self-worth in this lifetime. Not, I'm burdened with this, thing that I don't think I'm valuable and stuff like that. So when we understand why we're operating in that realm of awareness, it allows us to make really powerful choices about how to respond. And so it's not happening to us, it's happening for us.
Oh, I like the way to turn that perspective, because definitely people kind of have an attitude of they're either paying for a past crime or, they're being defensive on it. So the way you just shifted that around is a new way to look at it and to really understand. And so I'm excited for us to expand on that. And I never really thought fingerprints had such a message to them. We think of them more, when it comes to somebody committing a crime, like a jail thing, they come and they want you to show your fingerprints. And so it's so important to know that, no, there's an actual coded message in there that we're going to learn how to decipher a little bit about that with what you have to share.
Right. And so, the lines in your hands can change because they're connected to the neural pathways of our thoughts. And so depending upon how you shift your thoughts over time, the lines in your hands can change, but your fingerprints never change. And your fingerprints are unique to you. So even identical twins don't have the same fingerprints. So those are giving you information about like I said before, okay, sort of what's my major here? And there's primarily 4 types of fingerprints. And today we'll be talking about the loop fingerprint. The loop is, and I'm, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to create illustrations here.
Right. Visual. I was trying to think, like, the way that your fingerprint looks.
Right. So it does this thing where it goes up and it comes down, goes up and it comes down, and almost like a wave curling and breaking. And so the loop is connected to the element of water. And water is all about emotion. It's about, what I was talking about. It's the fluidity of emotional connection and closeness and love, right? So because, 70% of the earth is covered in water. And so it's no surprise that, almost 65% of all the fingerprints on the planet are loops. Because we are really comprised of water, and emotion is
very true.
Right. I mean, as John Lennon said, all you need is love, right? So yeah. That's kind of for those who have 6 or more of these loop fingerprints, they are operating in the school of love. But even if you have fewer than that, it still impacts, you still have to deal with, these issues, right? And so being in the school of love is really about becoming fully present to all of your emotions, right? Because
I like that.
No matter what, whether it's, the angry ones, the frightened ones, the pissy ones, whatever it's about, just be present, because it's so easy to, let's just all talk about how great we feel all the time. Yay, how you doing? I'm fine. Yeah, and it's like, not that you have to, every person you see, oh my God, I'm feeling so terrible. But you have to honor all of the emotions within yourself. And so for School of Love, one of the challenges that I say, because the big motivator for School of Love is connection. They love, that exchange of emotion. And you can't be, one of the biggest challenges is you can't be present to connecting with others if you aren't in touch with your own emotions first. And so that's why I say that self-love, self-compassion is really important, to kind of explore that first before you start looking outside of yourself for someone else to, fill the void, make you happy, all of those things that, the Disney fairy tales and, all of those things that we see as answers to a personal search for connection. Those are, they're entertaining, but they're not necessarily realistic. And, I would ask, how did Cinderella feel about having to be, cleaning those floors and stuff? Did she really feel like, she was worthless and blah, blah, blah? And did she need to be rescued by a prince? And, so.
Let's ask the question.
Right. Exactly. Right. So what would have happened if Cinderella had, just like thrown down the scrub brush and said, screw you, I'm out of here. We wouldn't have had the happy ending, quote unquote. So looking at where can we love ourselves first and be compassionate to ourselves, because oftentimes in regards to relationship, we will become super critical, right? That we're, not whatever, and I'm not even going to speculate on the self-talk that goes on in someone's head. But I ask, my clients, where, the stuff that you think about yourself or say to yourself around compassion and connection or whatever, you you beat yourself up, but you would never say those things to a friend. So why can't you speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend? Right?
It's true. We forget that all the time. You know, we're so good at cheering friends on and encouraging them, but really, what are we doing? What are we saying in return? And how the self-talk is disruptive to that self-love. So very, very true.
So this piece of being a student in the Earth School University of Love, it really is this experience. If we are saying we're spiritual beings having a human experience, then having loop fingerprints is about, it's designed to help you develop your ability to love yourself and others through connection, but also, and this is the delicious dilemma around that, vulnerability.
Ooh, very true.
And so we get into this place of wanting to pretend like we've got it all together. And there's, you know, the honeymoon phase of relationships where I'm just everything you want, and isn't it great? And, you know, and then the mask drops and people sometimes are going, okay, what's going on here? But you have to look at it from, and this is the one of the biggest delicious dilemmas for this school, is that everything you want around connection, the key to that is being open with, you know, and honest with yourself about your own emotions, tapped into what they are and how you can experience them, and being willing to be vulnerable and share what you're feeling with others. And
oh, that's so true. We forget that.
Being willing to share regardless of the outcome. There's a little twist.
That is so huge. That's actually something I brought up recently. About a month ago, I was saying to some people how important it is to remember to give unconditionally and not so much on this outcome. And that is one of the hardest things with dating and building these relationships, is that kind of even before you've met the person, you're often thinking of all the ways this could go, sideways, good ways, bad ways, positive ways. But we forget to enjoy being just free to express it and then let it unfold the way it's meant to happen.
Right. And I talked about in my notes that I sent you describing this session today. So there's a master path on the School of Love, and there's a student path. And we are always, you know, it's never just like beeline to the master path. It's sometimes one step forward, two steps back, which my mentor, you know, calls sort of the Goldilocks theory, you know, too much, too little, just right. And so we have to have the experiences of not loving ourselves enough. We have to have the experiences of just thinking of nobody but ourselves, to find out where that, you know, that nice little sweet spot is. And it never stays. It's gonna swing. It's like a pendulum, you know.
So true. We have to be embracing that.
But where you know, oftentimes you will kind of get stuck for days, weeks, months, even years in a situation. And because you just are, that self-awareness about, oh, this is too much in terms of self-sacrifice, or, oh, this is too much in, you know, not opening my heart to anybody. Once you know that, oh, duh, my path here is to love myself and others through emotional connection and vulnerability, then you can go, oh, I'm not being vulnerable enough here. Or, oh, I'm choosing to end this connection, and that's okay, right? Because that's part of your path being in this school, right? So the master path, all right, emotional authenticity, speaking your truth, loving yourself, having compassion for yourself, feeling your feelings in the moment without overreacting, right? Being present with those feelings and going, okay, this makes me feel really kind of weird and I might lose it, but I'm just going to kind of chill. The student path, though, for School of Love is stuffing your feelings.
Ouch.
Not saying what you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
Putting, almost not setting boundaries, falling into that self-sacrifice / martyr role. And so oftentimes I will see people that are not, are kind of stuck in that shadow side of the school, of the kind of operating in that student path, because they, it's scary to kind of own your feelings, right? So I'm just going to not think about it. I'm going to kind of numb it out. I'm going to whatever, stuff my feelings, stuff my face. And I see a lot of, I won't say a ton, but those who do have issues with body image and are connecting the food piece, who are trying to, they're trying to lose weight, but it's not the weight that is, as we work our way down, it's like, oh, that's why, right? So where can you own your feelings and occasionally, eat a sleeve of Oreos or, salt and straw ice cream or something like that. Because again, sometimes this way, sometimes that way, but not be operating in that zone all the time.
That makes a big difference. And so how do we kind of decipher on like our fingers to see if we're more in the School of Love or the mastery, or how do we know really kind of where we're at on this journey? Is that based on our fingerprints, or is that something that we notice through our choices?
If you have 6 or more of the loops, you're definitely in the School of Love. I mean, your curriculum here is, you've chosen to, kind of understand what's happening. Right, mm-hmm. with emotion and that sort of thing. And, it's really, when you get into, it really boils down to how we relate to the people that are in our inner circle. So that might be,
makes a big difference.
Not necessarily, friends to a degree, but intimate relationships, family, certainly, and very close working environments, right? Because the people that you work with are almost like family in many cases, And so where are you? I guess that what I would ask you is, where have you wanted to speak up about something and then just bit your tongue?
That's a big one. And that communication, knowing really what are you not saying of what you need to be saying? That's a huge question to ask.
Right. And so, the in the student path of School of Love, there's this, we talked about the stuffing of feelings. So it's like, push them, until something happens, and then, the straw that breaks the camel's back, and the explosive response. That's not, what I'm talking about, when you need to say what you need to say. It's really about being an advocate for your emotional well-being and being an advocate for your heart. And what does your heart need? Right?
Very important.
What does your heart need?
We need to be the advocate. Like, as much as we might find that partner who really cares and steps up and listens, it's still you. Like, you're your best voice, as you talk about the voice a lot, and speaking up and being an advocate for what matters to you is really so crucial and so important that I think people forget they have a say in their own journey and their own participation.
Exactly, exactly. So there's sort of a little, formula where it's about, this little path to check in with yourself to see if you are being emotionally authentic, right? So it's the first step is to feel the feelings, right? Be with them, ride the wave, of the loop, the roller coaster of the emotion without, being triggered by past experiences and automatically going, okay, this is going off the rails. I can see it right now. Just be present. And it's very challenging to kind of still your mind because your ego is trying to protect you, right? It's trying.
It's so
right.
good and
so
not
like,
good.
Okay, get in the back seat, ego, for a second. Let me just feel them. And then it's, put a name to the feeling, right? Because sometimes it's just, we can label it as anxiety, right? But what is the underlying feeling about that? The feeling is that, I'm afraid I'm going to be abandoned. I'm afraid I'm, going to be perceived as not trying hard enough. I'm afraid that, so don't just give it this blanket label. Try to understand, okay, well, what is it? How could I name this so that I could identify it instead of just being, consumed by this all pervasive, kind of feeling.
Right. That makes sense. A lot of people forget to kind of make sense out of what's confusing. They just have that overwhelming feeling and kind of do a freeze frame. So
Right.
What you're talking about is really very important for people to
Right.
stop and pause and make note on. Yes.
So, and then the third step in that is after you've, named it, after you've felt it, sat with it, named it, then the next step is to express it and expressing it out loud, right? And so that can be, because that's the remedy to stuffing it. Now, it may be that you're just expressing it out loud to an empty room, right? That's still valid because you are letting it out of energetically, you're letting it out of your body. But more often, it's about expressing it either to, mostly to the appropriate person, right? So it's the classic thing of, we're mad, freaked out, hurt by someone else, and we come home and, we yell at the dog, or we yell at the kid, or we yell at the, our friend, or whatever. That's not the appropriate person. The appropriate person is the person where this, emotional connection or disconnection or miscommunication occurred. That's who you need to speak to. You're, expressing this out loud. And it's about at the appropriate intensity as well. Because again, we can go, yeah, or we go, I really didn't like when you have to stand in your power and you just, say what you need to say for your heart. And if that person disconnects from you, then that's what happens. Because you cannot go back and honor yourself after having, swallowed what you needed to say and just kind of, okay, whatever, because it will come up again and again and again. So speak, I sit with the feeling, name it, express it to the right person at the right emotional intensity, and and as close to the moment as when it happens as possible, which isn't always the case, but if you can address it when you're feeling this come up, so much the better, because you'll get better and better at it as you do that. And then this is the key part is let it go.
Amen to that one. That's not easy.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. What's forgetting or forgiving, and how does it all intertwine? And it is so true. As we hold on to stuff, we keep it, we lock it in, and we own it, but yet we really kind of need to let it go, let it move forward, let it go do its thing, because it's time to make room for something better, stronger, and healthier for the relationship. But so many people harbor all this in that relationship, and it's exhausting.
Yeah. So feel, express, release. And that's, because when we don't release, we start to, keep this little running tally of, I gave in this time. Well, he needs to give in next time. And
that's truth. Oh my goodness.
Now, now it's a game, and it's not, a relationship that operates from a mutual place of respect and vulnerability. Sometimes I'm going to give in, and because I am honoring what is important for my partner at the time. And so I'm giving in, quote unquote, but it's more for me to stand my ground about something that really doesn't make that much of a difference to me. Then I can be in a place of support for them. But if it's going to impact how I show up in the world and make me dim who I am, then I have to talk about it. I can't just, let it go.
Right. I saw a quote recently that said, be the light bulb, not the lampshade. And I was like, that's so good, because we forget how much people dim us, and we, allow it, but also we can dim people and not realize it. And it is so important that the brightness, the light, the energy that they have come to full bloom, because then we can all benefit. And if what you're saying and you're frustrated with somebody and it's not flowing for you, then that person might not be your match. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that they're not part of the rest of your journey on your school of love.
Right. So it's, as we travel this path, we, want to learn how to develop emotional resilience, because it's not an either or, right? It is an ebb and a flow. But, kind of equating it to the, sort of a surfing analogy, right? It's like, yes, we're going to get knocked off the surfboard from time to time. And yes, we're going to experience some, killer monster wave that we ride all the way in. Or do we want to just sit on our board kind of paddling and just never really going out there to try to catch one, right? To catch that wave. It's safe there. We can convince ourselves that we're surfing, but we're not playing full out and enjoying the highs, the lows, and really being honest to ourselves about that.
So true. And so many people really aren't living out loud. They're not living with their depth, their passion. And I just keep thinking of how much they're missing out, but so is their partner. And this is something that is a really great example that when you truly want a deeper love, a deeper connection, let the person see all of what you have to offer, speak up, communicate, don't stuff it down, because then you guys can then spearhead from that level to the next level. So it sounds a lot about our fingerprints, and, in the past we talked about the heart lines and things, that we have a lot of power within us to step up to the light that we're given, or we also have the power to keep holding it back. So what do you think are some of the tips to just know when it's time to shift to the bigger versus what we've done in the past that might have been about not really having that voice and being a little more meek than you would like to be?
Well, one of the things that comes up is, how often do you find yourself saying, oh, I wish I had a relationship like so-and-so, or, oh, if only, this was going on, then maybe, this would happen. I mean, living in that place of wanting what someone else has, or wishing that your situation were different, that to me says you are not being present, appreciating what you do have at this moment in time, being grateful for that, but B, okay, because wanting what someone else has, there's a different energy than you saying, okay, I want, someone who has a great sense of humor, who is passionate about what they do, is connected to family, and, laying out the things that you desire in someone so that you can manifest that for yourself by energetically putting yourself out there and opening your heart to receive that, is a totally different energy than, gee, it must be nice to have a boyfriend who blah, 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 or, or a husband or this or that, or a girlfriend or whatever. So just do that check in with yourself. Where am I, am I kind of out here with, oh, gee, it would be nice, blah, blah, blah. Or am I going, this is what I deserve. This is what I want. This is what I'm willing to call into my life right now. So that's one thing. That's one thing.
Good.
And the other piece, again, goes back to that self-love, because we all have stories, situations, experiences in our life that have caused us to dim our light in one way or another.
True.
Whether that be family related, whether that be past relationship related. So check in with how much are you holding on to that story, right? When does the opportunity come to open your heart a little bit, be a little bit vulnerable, and then the little voice goes, oh yeah, but probably just gonna be just like last time, and then the wall comes down, right? So where can we be aware that little tape loop starts running in our head when something's has the possibility of being amazing, and we just pull back, shut it down? Because that's part of the emotional resiliency piece, is entertaining possibility, right?
Exactly. I think that's a huge comment to say, because we do, is that I like that, entertaining possibility. That needs to be on the top of everybody's note page, entertaining possibility, because nothing will happen if you don't start thinking, well, this is possible, I could have this. And other people's relationships should be inspiration, but you don't know what goes on in closed doors. You don't know what's really happening.
Exactly.
So focus more on your own relationship is where you can actually enjoy the benefits. And I've noticed that shift in clients when they first join. There's kind of that, oh, my parents had this, or my best friend has this, and they talk about what they've been kind of getting the short straw on, I guess. And then once they make that shift, within a few months as a client, there's that moment when, oh, hold on, why am I just continuing to kind of oogle out on them instead of looking within? When they start meeting the need as people, because they're actually choosing to decide what they want, not just what other people are living and doing. And so that really resonated a lot with me talking about this.
Yeah, definitely. And so, you know, it's, there's a couple of things in regards to, again, that place of holding back, sitting back. Where can you take some decisive action about something? I mean, you know, for example, I know you've got an event coming up in the next couple of days. I don't. I just saw your email about it.
But, I've got an event coming up.
Yeah, you always have something going on. But you know, so it's like, take decisive action. If you know, connect with somebody in one of these environments, like, go up and say hi. You know, don't be like, I don't know. You know, I mean, you're not going to get married on the spot. The world is not going to end if the person says no. I mean, you know, it's about, you know, again, in the moment, reaching out for connection, processing. Okay, so they said bye. I don't want to see you. You know, I'm going to go get a drink. Okay, cool. That made me feel, you know, a little, you know, rejected. But you know what? The fact that I took the chance to do this, it's a bigger, more powerful feeling than the little bitty rejection piece, right? And so, how can I cultivate? How can I cultivate that, right? So again, each thing is an opportunity to have an experience, and how we choose to respond to the experience impacts our ability to continue, you know, to do it again, or to pull back, stuff our feelings, and and just go, oh, you know, this is messed up, and blah blah blah. So it goes back to that emotional resiliency, right? Keep things in perspective. It's not personal, you know, whatever. Maybe that person is also struggling with, you know, getting back into a relationship, and, you know, you coming and putting that opportunity in his face maybe freaked him out a little because he's not ready. You know what I mean? You don't know what the other person's story is.
Exactly. I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because I have this, recently a client wrote a wonderful testimonial about attending one of my events, and when she walked in, she was just frazzled. She gets stressed out about parking downtown. She was so consumed with her environment that the way she came in, I was like, I know you're here, but you're not present, and there's nothing attractive about your tornado. And so I told her, go to the restroom, freshen back up. It was a yucky kind of night weather-wise too, and bad parking and all this drama. And then she came back, realigned, and then we had to go to another location for the next part of the event. And so she had a moment to regroup and refresh. Well, throughout the rest of the evening, she was meeting different people, but was drawn to one, and she's still dating that wonderful, smiling man. But had she come in to the second part of the event where he was all frazzled and totally not present, he would have had nothing to do with her. And so she really noticed how important it was to stop and realign, get a drink, breathe, get yourself in a space to be attractive and to embrace that. And when he said, do you want to go get a coffee? She said yes. And so many times at events, somebody will ask, hey, do you want to continue this conversation in a quieter spot? They're so apprehensive, and it's such a quick, like, oh, no. It's like, well, aren't we both here to meet people? Like, let's just continue this conversation and see. But the immediate reaction is often no, when they're in a place that they should be saying yes. So you're really giving such great information for people to open up, because the yeses can turn into long-term positive opportunities.
Exactly. And, you know, the other thing that I will leave you with, because I'm not exactly sure where we're running on time, but the other thing to leave you with is that, again, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, I encourage people to look at how the people that they interact with, when they are consciously choosing to interact with them, and even sometimes unconsciously, people that on the street, you know, but those that cross your path, look at it from the perspective of, how can I be a teacher for them? Or how are they a teacher for me?
I love that. Everybody write that down. That is so important. You know, we forget what we're giving to others and also what is happening in return. And everybody crosses our paths for a reason. Some kind of sliding on by and others are staying for a while. But it is so important to actually stop and think, what can I gain from this experience and what can I give and teach? So powerful.
So, you know, again, we go into relationships sometimes thinking it's an all or nothing proposition. And sometimes a person's purpose in entering our lives, or us entering their lives, is to get us to a state of awareness. And that's okay if that's the extent of what that connection is supposed to be about. Again, it's about tuning in to what feels right for you, but you can learn so much from somebody else if you are open to understanding what they're bringing to the connection, to the relationship. And being a student in the School of Love, any good student is going to, you know, do their work and graduate with honors.
Yes, I love that, because that is also something to really realize, is that we are always learning. We do have people in our life for different reasons. And sometimes we focus so much on, oh my God, this is such a neat person, I'm learning so much from them. But we also have to remember they're learning something too. Like, we're bringing something to them, and that is an honor and a gift also. So you have caught us on so many levels to just stop and pause. Like, I love this kind of catch energy of, hold on, stop and think, how are you showing up? Are you saying yes when the opportunity is available? And are you really being a good student of love? Like, are you showing up for the school? So this is really, really big. And we are now just about out of time. So what would be some of your last little words of wisdom, or any challenges you want to give everybody? Just a little something extra to step up and do, or call to action for what's next.
Well, I really would encourage people to stay in awareness around, am I being emotionally authentic and speaking my truth, or am I stuffing my feelings and hiding out, right? That's sort of the, you know, the yin and the yang of School of Love, right? Oh. So that there's that piece. The other piece is the, you know, feel, process, release, with regards to how we respond in the moment. And so if you can just, in that moment of feeling something, give it a name and speak to the person that needs to hear what has to say, regardless of how it goes, and then let it go, your life will open up to so many more opportunities, because, like you said, the energy that you give off it can attract or repel. And so you are open, if you are open to feeling your feelings, people are attracted to that. That's probably the biggest paradox of this whole thing, is the very thing that people in the School of Love want is connection. And the very thing that repels it is their unwillingness to be vulnerable.
Right. So true, so true. And, you know, I think one of the things that, as you're wrapping this up, it's really making me think, there's a new challenge I've given myself. I'm on my own little 90-day challenge, where every day a message pops up on my phone and just says, are you making choices that are enhancing your life? And I had kind of caught myself in being around people that just had depression issues that were heavier than I could handle, or really weren't in it for me. They were in it for what I was bringing them. And it made me really stop and think, is this enhancing my life? Is this an enhancing conversation? Is this an enhancing purchase? Is this how I'm using my time. Is it enhancing it? And to remind myself in a positive tone from where it used to be like there was that leak and it was draining and I was tired and I wasn't feeling the joy. And so it's that shift. And so you're bringing up things that are really resonating with that moment in life when you say, I got to enhance it. Like, I got to turn up the heat on this. So thank you for all of this.
You're very welcome. And if anybody wants to find out what the map in their hands is all about, they can get a hold of me and go to my website. And that information, I'm sure, is somewhere on your website.
Yes, absolutely. We will wrap up the video, and then on the page where we put the landing page of all the information will be on there to reach out to you. And that's what this is about, is every time we talk with you, it's to take things to another level. But the cool part is they can meet with you one-on-one and really understand specifically for them and what their journey is. So taking all of these tools, enlightening what's next, what's enhancing their world, and then learning, okay, hold on, what are my actual blocks that I need to work on based on all the fingerprints and the lines in the hand and all that you're talking about is what's going to shift to the next level. So we thank you so much, Linda, for all that you bring to us, and can't wait to what you have for fourth quarter. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you.